So I watch a lot of movie reviews on mostly on YouTube. Uh, it's really hard to trust reviews on websites, but at least from YouTube, you can get someone physically talking, and and lots of times just thinking about the movie and saying things off the top of their head. Sometimes not, but it really bothers me a lot whenever I hear certain words crop up here and there, and sometimes they can be used in a positive way, but I think most of the time they are either negative or at least they come off feeling negative. And I think that there are words that are just tossed in there to explain and not even really do a good job of explaining anything because they're just filler words that are used in place of when people can just go into explaining, what they feel about this part of a movie or the movie on the whole, or the hairstyles or just whatever it is, and instead of actually breaking down things in the movie, they'll throw out just simple words and move on. So, even if you are using these words in a positive manner, I do think that I think they just come off too negative. Let me know if you disagree. If there's any of these words that you think are always positive or something like that. I, for the most part, just do not like them. So starting off with number one, campy. This movie is just so campy. You hear people saying it's so this, it's so that, and you can say that with any of these words. Oh, it's so this, but campy. It's just it has that foolishness kind of just loose, not very serious tone to it. Hate it. Dated. I don't understand what this word means. Is someone, if there's no such thing as cell phones and people are using rotary phones or something like that, and you say, oh, this is so dated, is that a bad thing? I don't get it. What are you trying to say when something is dated? Yeah, it's dating itself to be a period of time. Is that a bad thing, or it's not really a good thing? I don't know. Well, how does that help in reviewing a movie at all? It doesn't. And the same general, area of dated, you also have old. Oh, this is old. What does that matter? What does it matter if it's old? One of my all-time favorite movies is Nosferatu, and yeah, you could say that's old. It's over 100 years old, but there's a lot of amazing things with that movie. I've seen it so many times. It's highly rewatchable. There's different ways you can watch it. There's things you pick up on with it. It developed a lot of movie making skills and effects and camera shots and editing. It did a lot. But to say that it's old, I would never say that. But I hear that word tossed around a lot, and I don't know. I've never heard something be described as old and have that be a good connotation about it. You can say something is vintage, like a vintage car, but if you say an old car, sorry, I'm not going to buy that. It's old. Ugh. So, but when it comes to movies, I don't care if the movie's bad. If you call it old, that tells me nothing about it. Next is cringe or cringy. I see people, especially in older movies, where one example I will be talking about again in the future is from Goldfinger. James Bond at the beginning slaps a woman on the tush, a light little tap, and and it's just something in the movie. I'll go into more detail about that whenever I review that movie, but that would be a scene I can imagine, especially younger people would watch and that's just so cringy, or just anything that makes someone feel uneasy, and they might have a hard time dealing with it. So they'll just say, "Oh, it's cringy." I cringe at that word. I do not like it. Another very similar word is cheesy. I would never describe something in a positive way by saying it's cheesy, other than macaroni and cheese. And if someone says, and I've seen it plenty of times where someone will kind of smile and say, "Oh, that's so cheesy," and it's like, oh, I think they like what they're seeing, but they're using a word that just that makes me feel I don't know if they like this or not. I've seen so many people, especially you see these reaction videos. Will they be watching a movie for the first time, supposedly, and they'll say, "Oh, this is so cheesy. Oh my God, it's cheesy." And it's like, do you like this or not? Please be better at explaining how you feel about this. At least cringy. I don't think it's possible to use the word cringy in a positive way, but cheesy is just, yeah, definitely you can be positive about it, but I just don't feel that that's a great way to be showing your pro emotions about something. And then, anytime you throw in a decade, like, this movie is so 80s. This is such a 90s movie, especially from people who's never lived in those decades or something. Once again, take for instance Encino Man from 1992. I'm not sure how many people lived that way and said some of the, dressed up some of the ways or said some of the things in that movie or anything like that. But that movie is definitely cemented in the early 1990s, maybe late 80s, early 90s. But yeah, it definitely feels that. And I think that's a great thing. You almost get to relive a period in history, although may not be totally factual of how the general society was at that time. But it really gives a fun feeling going back and watching a movie that to me is like, yeah, it feels like the 90s. But I don't think that's a great way to describe it when you say, "Oh, this is so 90s." It's not as bad as some of these other words, but it does come off a little bit just condescending. Maybe this is so 50s. But usually people say it with the 90s and 80s, and I don't know, just say it in a different way, be more positive. And finally, the word cliche. Cliches, I think, can be many times a good thing. Something becomes a cliche because it was usually a pretty good idea to begin with, or else it wouldn't be copied and then it would not become the cliche. Many times I look for a cliche to happen, and if it doesn't, then it just seems like someone is trying to avoid a cliche, and then they end up doing something that doesn't fit right within the movie or something like that. I don't know. It's just another one of those words that, unless you can use it in a direct positive way, but you would have to say, "Oh, this is a great cliche, how this happened," or something like that. But if you just come off with a blanket statement of such a cliche or something like that, then once again, you're just quickly making a description using a simple word. And unless you can really describe what you're thinking about how you're reviewing something, you're going to come off either, like I said, you're going to come off either negative, or you might confuse someone and they don't know if you like what you're looking at or not. So yeah, so those are just some of the words that I don't know. I thought I'd want to get out there and just say I hate when people use these words because to me it decreases your vocabulary into ways that can be used as a crutch for people who do not know how to or don't care to explain themselves further. I try to do a lot of reviews, and I plan on doing more reviews the more subscribers I get, because I don't want to waste some movies with just a few subscribers. But I can guarantee that I will either A, never use these words, or if I do ever use these words, I'm going to be using them to support a further thought that I have about a movie that I've seen or something like that. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about these words in the comments down below. Let me know if there's any other words that you hear people use that just irks you, like these do me. And I'll catch you on the next one.